Hi there, my name is Alex Swift. I'm a game designer whose work can be found at alexdavidswift.net/portfolio. And today I'm going to be walking you through a level I designed based on the Duelist Kingdom from Yu-Gi-Oh! For those who aren't familiar, the Duelist Kingdom is a story arc in Yu-Gi-Oh! That revolves around the main character Yugi going to an island to try to save his grandfather's soul from the villain Maximilian Pegasus. So in order to do that, we're going to have to find 10 star chips throughout the island by fighting other duelists and finding rare items. And then once we have 10 star chips, we can go up to the duelist castle up this staircase, and we can challenge Maximilian Pegasus and defeat him to get our grandfather's soul back. And we'll talk to the gatekeeper of the castle. He's going to tell us we need 10 star chips, so we're going to need to explore the island in order to find the amount we need. So we'll start off by looking in this main hub area. Here we've got a shopkeeper who will actually exchange rare treasures for star chips, but we don't have any rare treasures yet. He also has a card for sale, but that card is very expensive. We can't really afford it right now, so we'll have to come back for it later. 3 of our friends are here, Tristan, Taya, and Joey. Tristan and Taya don't really have much for us, but Joey is a fellow duelist like we are, so by dueling him, we'll get a star chip and our first card. Now in order to defeat duelists on the island, you need to find the proper cards in order to beat their decks, and which card is required is going to vary depending on who you talk to. So let's go to the cliffside area. It's like a beachside region. And here's our friend Bakura, who wants to be escorted back to his campsite. So we'll go upstairs and he'll follow us along. And we'll stop here for a second to talk to this duelist named Mako. Mako, unfortunately, we don't have the card we need to defeat him yet, the Summoned Skull, so we'll have to come back. So we'll keep escorting Bakura. Now on our way to his campsite, we're going to run into a little waterfall with a concealed cave. And inside that cave there are some weird objects that we don't quite know what to do with yet, and there's also a door. We're going to come back to all this later. It doesn't really have any significance for us right now. Additionally, right next to this waterfall is a shack. The shack we unfortunately cannot open. It requires a password that we simply don't have, so we'll come back. It's not going anywhere. So we'll take Bakura back to his campsite, and he'll discover that he can't get across because the board that he would use to cross is currently up. So we'll go ahead and jump on these platforms, and once we get to the other side, we'll interact with the board to knock it over, and then he'll cross to safety. Awesome. He's interested in dueling if he wants. So we'll go ahead and have a duel with him, but we can't beat him. We don't have the Dark Magician we need. So we'll go ahead and take the card that's here at camp. And that card is the Swords of Revealing Light. We'll be able to use that to beat another duelist later. So now we're going to go to the forest section. We're down at the cliff sides for now. So here in the forest, there's a lot of things that we need to deal with. One is there's a card sitting on this rock over here, the Summoned Skull, and that's the card we need to defeat Mako. So next time we go back to the cliffside, we'll be sure to duel and defeat him. Now over here, by this lake, there's Rex Raptor. Now fortunately, we already have the card that we needed to defeat him. We got that from Joey, our friend, in our first duel. There's also a Paradise Flower here, and we can trade that for a star chip. So we've got a few star chips already. Over here, deeper in the forest, we're going to find one more duelist, Weevil, who we don't really have the card to beat yet. We need the Spellbinding Circle, but we'll get that soon enough, and we'll come back. So our business in the forest is done, so let's go ahead and head over to the caves now. Here in the caves, the first thing we're going to see on the right is something's here. It's a Kaibacore briefcase. The briefcase is full of money, so we'll be able to buy something with that later. There's also a chunk of obsidian, another treasure that we can trade for a star chip. Now here in this treasure-filled cavern is Bandit Keith. He's a bit of a scoundrel, but we have the card to beat him, so we're able to take a star chip. And he also has an errand for us if we want. He wants us to find his bandana that's lost in the woods, and if we find it, he'll give us the password to his shack. So that'll be useful. There's one more duelist here in the caves area as well, up on a cliff on this upper passage. That's My Valentine. Now in order to beat her, we're going to need a Change of Heart card, and we don't have that yet, so we'll have to come back. For now, we'll take the shortcut into the woods. It's a one-way cliffside with some rocks at the bottom. It's an easy way to get between the areas without having to go back to the main hub. So now, let's go to Mako, and let's win that duel with the card that we picked up. We were successful, and he has a favor for us as well if we're interested. He wants us to gather 5 bait from the stumps in the forest, and he'll give us another star chip. We'll duel Bakura while we're here as well, because we've got the card to beat him too. Awesome, so we've got lots of star chips now. We must be getting close to the 10 we need by now. There's 12 total in this entire area that we can collect. Now here, by the waterfall with the cave, we can actually jump down this waterfall for a shortcut to the forest. So the forest has 2 shortcuts, one from the cave and one from the waterfall area. Now, in order to collect that bait for Mako, we're going to interact with all these stumps. And there's 5 total, and they're all in different parts of the forest area, but they're not too terribly far apart. Anyone with a keen eye will be able to find all 5. Now, once these are collected, we'll be able to get that star chip, but it's not urgent that we go back to Mako right away, so we'll probably make a few more stops before we go back and see him again. And if we wanted to, we don't even have to collect that star chip, since there's 12 total, and we only need 10. One other thing we can get while we're here is the bandana that Bandit Keith said he lost. It's a little difficult because it's high up in the tree, but if we work at it, we can finally pluck it out, and then we'll be able to give it back to him. It's tricky because it's high up. And there it is. Now we can give him that back. We'll go back to the caves, but first let's stop at the shopkeeper. We'll give him our paradise flower, and we'll give him the obsidian we picked up. So that's 2 more star chips. Back to Bandit Keith, we'll give him the bandana, and now we have the password to open the shack by the cliff's waterfall. So we can go back to the cliffs area, and we'll open up that shack. Now inside we're going to find 2 things. 1 star chip, and we'll also find a spellbinding circle. That's the card that we needed to defeat Weevil. So we'll head on back to the forest and we'll duel him. Duel successful, that's another star chip. Now we have 10, so there's only 2 left over somewhere, and we don't have to collect them if we don't want, but since we've got the card to beat Maya, we'll go ahead and do it anyway. So that way we've got more than enough star chips. So with all our chips collected, we head up to the castle, and we talk to the gatekeeper to gain entry. Inside is our rival, Seto Kaiba. He also has the bone to pick with Pegasus. Unfortunately for us, we don't have the card that we need to defeat him, the Karibo, but we know how to get it. If we go to the shopkeep with our big suitcase of money, he'll let us buy that card from him. We can use that card to defeat Kaiba and gain entrance to the castle. Now inside the courtyard, inside this room, before we get to Pegasus's lair, we have a bit of a puzzle. There's these 8 columns of varying heights with buttons on them. We also see an illuminated line of shapes which represent the columns from lowest to highest. So in order to solve this puzzle, we have to interact with the smallest column and then the next biggest and so on until we've interacted with all 8 columns to illuminate them. And once we do, the door will open. We have to do this quickly. If we don't solve the puzzle in 30 seconds, the door won't open. But we were successful. So now we're in Pegasus' lair. Now we can duel him, but we don't have the card we need, Exodia, the forbidden one. So in order to get that card, we've got to complete one last puzzle. And to do that, we'll need to collect 3 orbs throughout the level. Now here, in the caves area, we see a big pit of lava and a bunch of little platforms, and at the end, there's an orb. And we're going to jump over these platforms one-on-one in order to go collect that orb. Got to be very careful because the platforms are relatively small, so if we're careless, it could lead to certain death. But we make it, so we get that fire orb successfully. That's 1 of 3, so let's go find the other 2. The next one's going to be in the forest. There's this giant tree past Weevil in the very back, and we can jump on these giant leaves in order to ascend to the top, and that's where we'll find the treasure we need. Again, this takes some very careful jumping because these leaves are very unforgiving. But with a little bit of patience, we can make it to the top, and then in the branches we'll find ourselves another orb. This time, it's going to be the grass orb. So that's 2 of 3, 1 more to go. The last one will be on the cliffside, not far from Mako. There's this hidden ramp that we can take down, and in a little cave, there's the water orb. So with the 3 orbs collected, we can go to the waterfall cave and interact with those 3 columns we saw in order to find Exodia. Now you'll see on the ground, there are 3 colored circles. One is purple, one is orange, and one is green. We can place all 3 of the orbs we collected onto these pillars, and then we can use the colors that are shown on the floor in order to solve this puzzle. Now by interacting with the orbs that we placed, we can change the color of their light to red, yellow, or blue. And the colors on the ground are going to tell us which color these need to be. So this one, for example, needs to be yellow because it's between orange and green, and their common primary color is yellow. Similarly, here's purple and orange. Their common primary color is red. And finally, green and purple have a common primary color of blue. So we set every orb to the correct light color, and the door opens, revealing Exodia the Forbidden One. So now it's time for the final showdown with Pegasus. We'll head back to his castle and duel him. He's not very happy about being beaten, so he decides he's going to beat us on his home turf in the Shadow Realm. So we have a shadow duel with Pegasus, using the power of our Millennium Puzzle. And luckily for us, we succeed. Pegasus is defeated, our grandfather's soul is freed, and the level is completed. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can check it out at alexdavidswift.net/portfolio. Again, my name is Alex Swift. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good one.